Hi, I'm Jacquie Greff with Tonal Vision, and today we're talking about the Atomos Shogun Flame. This is a tutorial for our videographers who need to use this device. We use this device for several different reasons. Number one, it's a nice external monitor. So it's a lot easier to see from far away than your camera LCD screen. It has some waveform and lighting controls that you can see better, and it looks impressive when you show it to a client and they can approve a shot. So there's lots of reasons to just have a nice monitor attached to your camera. Secondly, you can use it to adjust lighting. You can see the waveforms on this better than on your camera. And thirdly, we use it for specialty recordings. We have one camera that will export 4K, but it won't record 4K internally, so we can use that. If you have a client that wants something shot in ProRes and you have a camera that shoots in a really compressed format, this is a nice thing to have. This nice little device comes in a really nice case, which I appreciate. So we can set the case down. So what we're going to do first is to start it up, and it needs power. So the first thing we're going to do is put batteries on it, and you slide them in, and it should be a solid attachment. This will hold two batteries and it will sequence them, so it doesn't drain them both at the same time. It uses one and then it uses the next, so you can actually hot swap batteries. This is a hard drive. This is actually a G drive. And this particular one is a terabyte. It's a solid state drive. It slides right in here. If you're not recording in 4K, I think you can get away with not having a solid state drive, which is more expensive, but they're a lot faster. So here's our setup. It's all ready to go. It's not connected to a camera or anything. We're going to do that next. There's some controls you need to know about. Right here is the on-off button. This will allow you to plug in external audio directly into the recorder rather than into the camera. And then we have HDMI in and HDMI out, and we have 3 SDI connections here. Now I'm going to connect my camera. So I'm going to connect the camera's SDI port here, and I'm going to connect it to the SDI in on the Shogun Flame. And this camera for some reason doesn't like HDMI connections, but the SDI is a much more secure connection, so if you're moving around very much, it's the way to go if you have a choice. Turn this on, and then to turn on the flame, you press the start button there. It'll take a couple of seconds. Makes a little noise. And now you're seeing what the camera sees. This camera and the monitor right now are set up to record trigger, which means that I push the record button on the camera and the device starts recording. I push the record button to stop recording on the camera, the device stops recording. This is really handy because then you don't have to be thinking about which one's turned on and recording and which one's not turned on. These are specific to the device and to the camera that's sending it the signal, but you need to look at your equipment and double check to make sure that you've got record trigger set so that you can use it together like I was just using it. This thing is a touch screen and it is a mass of menus. Almost anything that you see here is a menu. So this is our record format. Generally, for our purposes, I record in some flavor of ProRes, and this tells how much time we have with different recording formats. This is battery information. So I've got 2 batteries, and I don't have external power, and both of these batteries are completely full right now. This is my waveform. I can choose to display the waveform differently, so now it's going a lot wider. Now it's covering the full screen. I can choose the opacity, so it can cover up everything, or it can be barely visible, and I can choose the brightness of it. I go over to this next one. This is monitor assist. This is the blue only. Blue mode is good to see how much grain you've got in your image. And then if you want to zoom in to double check your focus, you can press right here, focus zoom. This button right here lets you tag your video, so if you really like something or you think it sucked, you can just tag it right there and that'll carry over to your editing software. and this is monitor mode. This will actually let you set the screen brightness, which can be fairly important. This monitor is really bright, which is helpful if you're outside in the bright sun. You can still see the monitor a lot of times. But what happens when you use it inside is it looks so bright, it looks like your camera image is better exposed than it is. So what I encourage people to do is to look at the LCD on your camera, which is probably what you're used to shooting with, and look at this and try to make them match so that you won't look at this and think, oh, it's fine, when it's not really fine. This is the playback menu. It will switch to the last shot that you shot. I pressed this right here and it came up with a list of shots. So if I didn't like the last shot and I wanted to see a previous shot, I could just press on it. To go back to the regular play mode, just hit record once and it'll switch you to record mode. You're not recording right now, but you're ready to record. With all these menus, you can see it's easy to bump in the wrong spot and all of a sudden something comes, something goes, and you've got something on the screen that you don't want. So what you can do is you can lock the screen, and you do that by pressing a short press there. It says locked. Now it's going to come up as a lock, but it's not going to display big menus and stuff on the screen when you really are just trying to use it as a monitor. Audio is really important to us, and if you press the audio button here, you'll see that it actually has a lot of audio options. It's got 2 audio channels coming from that camera, and there's a huge number of channels that can actually come out over SDI if your camera will supply them. You'll see it says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last one says 1, 2 again, which can be really confusing. What that is referring to is the channel 1 and 2 of this external XLR right here. And what I just found out was on a job that if you have this turned on but you have no incoming signal from that, it's actually still recording 2 channels of nothing. And we ended up recording the 2 channels of the audio we wanted on channels 3 and 4. And when the client tried to play it back, they weren't hearing it because it was on channel 3 and 4. And the way we got rid of it was just to turn these off, and then it was fine. But it was really scary when we thought we weren't recording audio.